I'll find my own path.
Pump up the bass. Time to roll out.
I still have much to learn.
All right, everybody. Hello and welcome to the very first OTC Esports Overwatch 2 game of our organization. Tonight we are going against University of Jamestown. We're starting here on Oasis, I believe. And we are getting ready to rock and roll. My name is Mirage. By day, I am the Valorant coach for OTC Esports, but tonight, I am your host for this very first Overwatch 2 game of the season. Already some good fighting. Oh! Reaper! Get it, get it, get it! Reaper forces Soldier off the high ground. That's huge as Soldier... His power comes from being on the high ground and being expressed enemies here. Reaper's going in right on the Orisa, pushing her back, pushing Jamestown back to the choke point. Huge for gaining site control for OTC. Still holding them at the choke. Immort goes out, gets destroyed. Kiriko gets a save on Echo. Orisa charges in. Reaper's coming back, but Ramacha pops off form, trying to survive here. Good fighting on the point. OTC down a tank now. Looks like they lost this team fight, but a 13% charge on the initial fight, or 13% gain on the initial fight is huge for the beginning of the game. Looks like we just need to regroup here, get ready to roll back in again. Getting some poking off, trying to build some ult charge. Well, we are rocking and we are rolling here. Soldier coming back into the fight. That's going to be huge for OTC's ability to push back onto site. Ramatra holding the front line, trying to push out a little bit, make some space for OTC to get back onto the point. Orisa charging into the back line. Baptist trying to keep everybody up. Opposing Soldier ult goes out, catches Kiriko off guard, catches Baptiste. OTC down its healers, down its tank, and down pretty much everybody except for Reaper here. Kiriko has Kasune. That's going to be huge for OTC's ability to push back on the site if they can get it off correctly. Reaper trying to go in for a flank. We're trying to draw some attention. Get some good picks on Soldier. Backs up, though. Oh, Ramacha pops all. Pushes Jamestown off the site. OTC has full site control now. Reaper almost has... There he goes! Doesn't catch anybody, but gets everybody down low. Can OTC capitalize on this? No, they cannot. They gain an extra 13% point capture percentage, but that's not going to be enough to contest with Jamestown's 93%. About to push into overtime here. Reaper gets taken out by the Jav. Kiriko just trying to stay alive and get to the point. Can she do it? She cannot. Jamestown takes round 1 of this first matchup.
Score 0-1.
Hey, what's up? Keep showing you.
Watch your flanks. They might try something. Over here!
Keep showing you.
I will not leave a broken world behind.
What's up?
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
All right, we're going on round 2 of map 1. Control point unlocks in 25 seconds. OTC needs to get some good picks in, maybe take somebody out, so as soon as the point opens up, they can just gain some charge. Dropping the Ramatra, switching to an Orisa. This is going to be a good pick here, as Orisa is probably one of the most powerful characters in the entirety of Overwatch 2 at the moment. Jamestown taking the high ground with an Orisa and a Soldier. That's going to be very good. However, OTC is already on the point, so as soon as it activates, we're going to start getting capture point charge, which is huge for our ability to take the point. It's an Orisa on Orisa fight, but Jamestown's Orisa takes the win. Our soldier goes down, so does Orisa, leaving 2 supports and 1 DPS to take a 3v5 fight here. Baptiste goes down. It's left to Ana and Junkrat to try and get out of here alive. Junkrat gets a nice aerial kill on Soldier in here, but gets taken out by the Soldier and Orisa. OTC has lost the first team fight, but are regrouping and getting ready to go back in. No team comp changes here. They're still sticking with Orisa, Soldier, Baptiste, Junkrat, and Ana. Very good team comp. Trying to build around the Orisa and her ability to suppress the enemy team. Orisa charges in, taking out the front line, activating shifts. It's an Orisa on Orisa fight here. Baptiste doing his best to keep the team up. OTC stacking up on their Orisa, using her as a bodyguard, frontlining and taking up all the damage so OTC can get a pick in. Soldier on soldier battle here. OTC needs to push through this choke point now if they want any chance of retaking this point within a timely manner. Looks like they're trying to do that though. Orisa charges on the point, 75% to ult. Baptiste has window here, he needs to use it. OTC wins the team fight, takes back control of the point, and they are now gaining capture point charge. They need to hold this until at least 50% if they want to win this round. They can get to 50%, they'll be in a comfortable zone to retake control of the game. Orisa's still holding the front line. Junkrat trying to get some spam damage in here. OTC Soldier taking the high ground. Junkrat too. Jamestown tries to take the high ground back. Gets a pick on Junkrat. And now they have control of the high ground to themselves. Baptiste pops window. Gets taken out. It's an Orisa on Orisa here. I believe it is a 1v5 and... Yep, OTC lost the team fight, so Jamestown is going to take back control of the point, but they got to 41% capture percentage in a single go round. So that's good. That's very good for OTC's ability to hold. They just got to retake it here in a timely manner so Jamestown doesn't get too much of a lead. Looks like Soldier's running in, trying to get some damage off. He's got his ult. Pops ult! Hits Nano! 1! Can he get 2? Can he get 2? Sticks with the 1. Jamestown Lucio pops ult. Prevents Soldier from getting his second, but Soldier gets 1. That's going to be huge for the team fight. Jamestown Orisa almost dead. Soldier in the back line, punishing Kiriko. Can he get a pick? He needs to get a pick here. OTC contesting. OTC's Orisa does have ult. She needs to pop it right here and right now. She doesn't. She gets picked off. Nobody left on site but the Ana. And OTC could not secure round 2, so map 1 of this best of 5 series goes to University of Jamestown. 2-0.
Play of the game.
Play of the game here by OTC. Very good morale booster. Gets 1. Can he get 2? Gets 2. Can he get 3? Ah! Junkrat Tire comes in, takes the 3rd. Good play of the game for the first rounds of this best of 5 matchup on OTC's behalf. All right, for map 2, we are going to Eichenwald. This is a very defender-sided map. The initial choke point on the first capture objective is very easy to hold for defenders, but hard to attack as the attacking side. So whoever gets on the defending side is going to have the advantage here. However, from that point on, it is it is the attacker's game as they push the payload to the final objectives.
Traveling to Icon.
And it looks like OTC is going to be starting off on the attacker's side, so they will be at a disadvantage. However, it looks like they are pulling a dive comp here at the start, which for those unaware, a dive comp is short for dive composition. Basically what it means is you build your team around characters who can jump into the enemy's, but basically jump behind the enemy and pull their attention away from the main front line. You jump on their back line, you go after their supports. Without their supports, a team cannot withhold their own. So a dive composition jumps into the back line, takes out the supports, makes it easy for the attacking team to come in and just take a bunch of space really quickly. However, as I say that, it seems OTC is switching up their tank, so they will no longer be running Winston, which is essential to a dive composition. Instead, they will be running Reinhardt, allowing them to hold a strong front line with his 1500 HP shield.
One more mission, huh? I'm in.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Attack.
Here we go on map 2, round 1 of map 2. Farrah going high, trying to get some good picks. Get some good damage, almost gets a pick off the bat. OTC charging straight through the choke here. Jamestown giving them space that they didn't need to, but OTC is taking full advantage of it, pushing straight through the choke point under the bridge, getting themselves just that much closer to the objective point. They're getting some really good damage off on Orisa. If Jamestown loses their Orisa, they lose their front line, leaving themselves extremely vulnerable to an attack. Reinhardt charges in here, doesn't get anything, gets punished for it a little bit, but OTC supports are just built different, and they keep him alive so they don't lose their front line in this engagement. Orisa overextending, Reinhardt charges in, huge Farrah ult, taking out 3, gets 4, OTC wins the first team fight of map 2, securing the payload. Absolutely huge on the behalf of OTC and Zupos to get this first capture point up. Absolutely monumental for OTC. That might be one of, if not the fastest captures I've ever seen of point 1 on Eichenwald. That is huge. Soldier taking the high ground here, but Echo trying to contest. Looks like all of Jamestown is trying to take the high ground here. That seems to be a common theme among this among this team, to try to fight for the high ground as much as they can. However, OTC drops the Reinhardt, switches to a Winston, going to the dive comp, and punishes Jamestown with it. OTC gets a free 20 meters of push because of that. Jamestown wises up, drops off the high ground, and starts to fight on the point. Winston all alone here. He's got his Mercy on him, but it's not enough healing. Mercy does not heal enough to withstand that. OTC switches to a Bastion, trying to get the suppressive fire down on Jamestown. OTC with one ultimate ability already charged up and ready to go, being the Baptiste window. If they can pop this with Bastion, they can easily wipe the entire backline of Jamestown. They need to use that window wisely. Winston and Echo going in high here. Jamestown Soldier pops all. Immort goes out, saves a couple people. OTC pushes into close quarters to decrease the effectiveness of Soldier ult. And now it's just an in-house team fight. OTC losing that team fight, but gaining some good ult charge here. They saved the BAP window, but they will have Winston ult as they go into this next team fight. Question is, how and when will they pop it? Winston diving in, gets shot back, but stays alive thanks to OTC supports. OTC being the only ones on point because Jamestown's not contesting them, starts to get some push going. Echo gets booped out of a duplication. Jamestown still holding the high grounds. Winston dives in. He has ult, pops ult, pushes Jamestown off the high ground. Lucio of Jamestown pops ult to keep them up, giving them that extra HP. Winston still distracting them though. OTC not taking advantage, however, staying off the payload. That's going to be very detrimental to them as they needed to stay on the payload while Winston had them distracted. But they got some good ult charge out of there. Ari, our resident GM support player, now has Mercy ults. Ready to pop that into this next team fight to give OTC that extra little boost to get them going. Echo still picking at Jamestown while they're sitting on the high ground, just trying to get some ult charge off. OTC staying on the payload. Soldier and pops ult. Soldier picks off OTC's Soldier, one of our resident DPS players. However, OTC gained a free 10 meters of push during that while Jamestown was distracted. OTC just trying to regroup here as they've lost their main DPS. Main DPS is actually back now as I say that. OTC looking to push back in. Get ready to go. They dive on. Echo duplicates Orisa. OTC has 2 tanks for the moment. This is going to be huge if they can get this off. Echo gets forced out of tank. Jamestown Soldier wisely popped Visor and was able to wipe out OTC as they pushed in. However, OTC still has Soldier and Mercy on the field trying to maneuver around the site to get some picks in, maybe some good damage. That's exactly what they're doing, getting some damage, getting some movement on the payload. They need to focus. Soldier takes out Soldier. OTC up 1 DPS. Man advantage here. Soldier wisely sticking on the point, absolutely just walking right past Jamestown as they're too distracted with the other team, or with the other team players. OTC gaining a free 30 meters of push distance because Jamestown was far too distracted to do anything about it. OTC still pushing strong here, forcing Jamestown back into their spawn breach. Echo takes out Orisa. It's going to be huge. OTC completely pushed from one objective point to the other because they distracted Jamestown just enough to do so. That is going to be absolutely monumental for OTC's ability to take this round. With 2 minutes remaining, all they have to do is push to 1 more checkpoint. OTC losing its main DPS, its main healer, and its main tank. Jamestown pushed in strong. They kind of fought back a little bit after losing composure and giving OTC a free objective. OTC has both of its support ults, a tank ult, and in about 5 seconds we'll have a DPS ult. They need to pop that now and get the momentum going in order to secure this checkpoint. Echo pops ult, duplicating Orisa. OTC has 2 tanks. Winston pops ult, jumbling up Jamestown, pushing them back, allowing OTC supports to stick on the point and push the payload. That's huge. They needed to gain that. Baptiste pops window to heal up and keep his team alive as they push in this crucial timing right now. OTC loses 2. Winston jumping in, distracting Jamestown, getting their attention off the point. That's exactly what they need to be doing. All right, for an initial push onto site, that was amazing for OTC. They gained a free 60 meters of push in the initial charge. They needed that right then and there in order to try and secure this round. They have 25 seconds to get back onto the payload and push it that extra few meters to secure this round and make it 3 points for OTC side. They need to do it now. They have no ults, however, but Jamestown does. Speaking of ults, Jamestown pops Visor. Does not nano it or anything. No boosting to it, just a normal Visor. Reaper gets on the payload. Does not have ult. He needs to play his life and try to stay alive as much as possible. Reaper goes down. Kiriko goes in. OTC is contesting the point. Jamestown pops Orisa ult, but OTC pops May ult, keeping them off the payload just that much longer. However, OTC cannot stay alive, and with only a few meters remaining, they lose the team fight and do not make this a 3-0 round 1.
Score.
Not the best we could have gotten, but I've seen people do more with less. OTC looking strong going into this next round.
Hello. Let's get this show on the road.
Alright, like I said in the beginning here, Eichenwald is a defender-sided map, especially on this first point. If you can hold the bridge and keep the attackers off, you will waste so much of their valuable time to push on the site. OTC needs to hold the choke point here. Do better than Jamestown, hold the choke, push them back. OTC was able to get in extremely quickly because the choke point was not contested. As long as OTC can contest the point here, or sorry, contest the choke here, they will have a massive advantage in this first capture point. Keeping Orisa on the choke with Junkrat spamming, that's exactly what they need to do. OTC holding a strong defense already, getting multiple of their squishies, their low HP characters, getting multiple of Jamestown squishies, which are low HP characters, down. Kai takes out Orisa, that's going to be huge for this initial team fight. Without a tank, you have no ability to frontline. Your tank's entire job in Overwatch is to absorb damage and distract the enemy team from your lower HP characters. That's why Orisa, for example, here has 550 HP, meanwhile Soldier only has 200. Your tank's whole job is to absorb damage and basically block the enemy team from shooting your lower HP people. OTC already off to a better start than Jamestown did on the defense side, completely holding them at the choke point, getting pushed back a little bit, but multiple huge anti-grenades from OTC support players. Ari here, our GM support player, getting massive anti-healing grenades off on Jamestown to push them back, reducing their ability to push through the choke point. Jamestown pops Kusune, but OTC pops Nano on the Orisa, keeping the ability to hold the front line down just long enough to gain the advantage. Orisa the only one left here. Soldier left, trying to stay alive, just contest the point, get those extra few seconds off on a left, and OTC loses the team fight, but they killed a ton, and I seriously mean a metric ton of time for Jamestown. OTC has the advantage here, having gone onto the first choke point, first objective point faster than Jamestown did. If they can hold this and just keep Jamestown from pushing in, they will have the advantage, and they can have an easy time securing this round win. Soldier trying to get some damage off, not necessarily building ult charge as he already has it, just trying to suppress the enemy team to keep them from pushing in. OTC holding the high ground, taking a note from Jamestown book. However, it seems to be working better for OTC than it was Jamestown, as by this time marker in the match, OTC had already pushed farther than Jamestown has here. OTC backing off a little bit. Looks like they have almost every ult except for Tyre and Nano. However, Nano was already used. OTC needs to drop down here and contest the point, or Jamestown's just going to push it past. However, OTC's doing a better job of focusing on the point than Jamestown was, as they're contesting and trying to fight. Orisa drops, might be going for an ult. Just contesting the point, keeping Jamestown from getting push meters on. That's exactly what they need to be doing. OTC needs to keep his Orisa alive, as in an Orisa on Orisa fight. If one team loses an Orisa, they will lose the team fight. Jamestown pops Orisa ult, gets 2 kills with it, both of OTC supports. OTC has no heals as they try to stay alive in this team fight. And because of that, they lose both their last remaining 2 players, and Jamestown pushes past.
Hello. Hey.
Because of that team fight loss, Jamestown is now ahead in the time to push meter metrics ratio. So they are ahead of OTC for the moment in that regard. For this second objective point. OTC pushes in, pops the Orisa ult, doesn't get anybody, but gets everybody low. Soldier picks off Oh my! OTC gets 3 massive picks on Jamestown, completely stopping their push. 4 picks, that's a team wipe. OTC just won this team fight. Now they've pushed Jamestown back and stunned them. If OTC can kill another 30 seconds, they will be on par with their push from last round. They need to do that here in order to gain the lead on Jamestown in the time to distance push ratio. However, Jamestown's already on point. Multiple ops being popped. Harder from Jamestown. Pop's visor gets a 3K, and because of that, Jamestown gets to push into the next objective. With 3 minutes and 30 seconds remaining on their timer, they are well ahead of OTC. OTC needs to get a strong defense here in order to push Jamestown back, especially since they didn't get the 3rd objective point. Reaper getting low here, but OTC support keeping him live. Reaper gets picked, Orisa charges in. Jamestown loses their Orisa. That's going to be huge, as in, like I said earlier, an Orisa on Orisa team fight, the team who has their Orisa alive at the very end has a high likelihood of winning. OTC needs to keep their Orisa alive, as this is a 5-on-4 fight. OTC letting it get very, very close here to their push metric. They need to stay on the point. Getting some good damage in, trying to farm some ults. OTC has Nano. They need to use it right here and right now. As I say that, Aerie gets it off on Orisa. Orisa might be looking to pop ult here while nanoed. Can she do it? Does she do it? She's not doing it so far, but was able to hold them back. Jamestown pushing up. Orisa needs to ult if they want to hold them off. But she doesn't until the last moment, and because of that, Jamestown pushes it past in a faster manner than OTC was able to. So because of that, Jamestown wins Eichenwald. The rounds win-loss is 2-0 here in favor of Jamestown, but this is, in NACE Overwatch, it is a best of 5. So first team to win 3 maps wins the match. So Jamestown up 2-0 here. OTC has to win the next 3 maps in a row if they want to take game 1. Looks like for map 3, we will be moving to Nepal. OTC needs to win this map if they want to stay in this game, as Jamestown has a 2-0 map win lead over them. OTC loses this, we are done for the night. We have to take this map here. We're taking a little bit of a break here just to figure out the next map and game mode we want to be going on for map 3. So some logistical things are just getting worked out, but we'll get back to the action as soon as possible.
Traveling to Route 66.
Okay, so it looks like we made a bit of a map change here. Instead of going to Nepal, both teams have decided for Route 66 to be the next map as we go for another payload objective.
Someone needs to fill this saddle.
I think I can pull off
OTC
a cowboy
pulling the
hat.
McCree on Kai. Very good pick. Little backstory on Kai here. Kai is actually one of my ex-Valorant players from last season. He transferred over to Overwatch, so I know this man has some incredible aim. So if he can pull it off with McCree here, OTC is in for one treat of an attack push.
How's it hanging? Hello.
They might be going for another dive comp here as KZ's pulling the Winston, trying to get some backline pressure onto Jamestown. Pushing in, also pulling the Echo. McCree, Echo, Winston. Looks like Kiriko and Ana for OTC's team comp. Dynamite from Jamestown Ash comes flying in over the hill, but completely misjudged the landing zone and flies right over OTC's head, doing absolutely nothing to him. Echo dives in the air, gets some good damage, but gets picked off by the Ash. OTC needs to switch off of switch off of Echo if they're going to be pulling, or if Jamestown's going to stick with the Ash, which looks like they are. OTC loses 3 of its 5 people in the initial team fight, so they get about 40 meters of push distance, which is good for a first push on Route 66, but not enough. They need to regroup here. Winston, very, very lucky to be alive, being saved by Airy, OTC's GM support player. Genji gets hit by a mid-air dynamite lit on fire by Jamestown Ash. They're just getting some poke damage off, looking to push in, get some space. Genji dashes in, distracting the entirety of Jamestown while OTC focuses on the point. Being contested a little bit though, they fall off. Never mind, they're back on. Genji's here just trying to distract Jamestown enough for OTC to push the payload, which is exactly what they need to do. Getting good damage in. Kiriko coming in to save. Keeps Genji alive. OTC gains an extra 30 meters of push percentage. Or, sorry, push distance because Genji was able to distract so well.
I'm here.
Winston being front lines, trying to just hold it here. OTC in a single team fight went from about 38 meters of push distance to 72. They are almost to the first objective. All they need to do is regroup, charge fast into the point, and hold it while forcing Jamestown off. If they can do this, they will take the first map objective, gain a little bit of extra time, and hopefully push on to the next point. Both teams here just not really committing to anything. Never mind! OTC blading, completely pushing Jamestown off the high ground. Gets gets a pick in on Kai. Or sorry, Kai gets a pick in. But unfortunately, it is not enough for OTC to take control of the point and keep it moving. They have to regroup here and get ready for another team fight. OTC has 60 seconds to make a big push here. They have Kasune, which if they can pop correctly, will completely allow them to destroy Jamestown and push the point. Which, Jamestown pops their own Kasune, Winston jumps in, saved by Kiriko, just trying to distract Jamestown as much as they can to allow OTC to push the point. Point being contested, point moving forward. OTC needs to stay on it. They have to stay on the point. OTC Kasune goes out, so does High Noon. Sigma pops all, lifts OTC off the point. Winston has been nanoed and has ultimate. He needs to pop ultimate right here if he wants to get them off. Does just that, pushing Jamestown off the point. OTC needs to come in behind the Winston and hold the point so they can get some distance. Doesn't look like they're going to at the moment. Bob goes out, kills Winston, and OTC is stopped in their tracks at 72 meters on the first objective. OTC had a very, very strong start right out the gate there, getting 40 meters in about 10 seconds on the first initial push. They needed to hold that for the remainder of the round, though, and they just could not. Jamestown pulling the Sigma huge against a Winston, as Sigma's crowd control ability, the big old rock he throws, is a direct counter to Winston. Basically, what that ability does is it stuns Winston and prevents him from pushing in and getting to the backline, which is Winston's entire job. So Jamestown with a very good counter pick here. OTC needs to switch it up, however. They need to pick around Jamestown and kind of what they're doing, which seems to be exactly what they've done here, pulling a Sigma and a Bastion. If they can hold this, they will have a very, very good chance of holding Jamestown off the first objective point. Bastion just needs to play behind Sigma, use the fact that he's a tank and can absorb damage to just block incoming damage to Bastion and lay down fire onto Jamestown. OTC looking to hold the high ground here, positioning themselves in the same spot that Jamestown was, taking the high ground, not holding the choke point though. They're holding it from distance, but because they're not holding it directly on, it might have a little bit of a, or might be a little bit harder to hold the choke. Jamestown pushing in, OTC looking to get some good damage in here if they can hold it off. Bastion doing exactly like I said, playing on the site, or sorry, playing on the shield of Sigma, just trying to hold them off as much as possible. OTC going for a very, very high DPS composition here, pulling a soldier and Bastion. That's, if they can coordinate fire, they can melt just about any character in the game within seconds. So OTC's DPS need to coordinate in order to hold Jamestown off. Sigma trying to hold the front line here, as he allows his team to pick damage around him. Sigma drops down onto the point, exactly what they needed to do, because Jamestown has pushed within 22 meters of taking the lead and winning round 1. Or winning map 3, I'm sorry. Sigma tries to get the rock out, misses, flies above all the heads of Jamestown, but might be a little bit of a mental breaker here. OTC looking to hold. Support's doing a good job of keeping Sigma alive. OTC loses 2 DPS and 1 support here, leaving just Bella. Sigma gets nanoed, trying to hold off at the very end. He's trying to go for a Sigma v Sigma, trying to take out Jamestown's tank. If he can do that, they'll have a good chance of retaking. However, it's just too much for one player to handle. So OTC loses that team fight. Aerie gets picked off. And Jamestown is hard pushing the point. Baptiste gets picked off right as he comes in. So does Aerie. And because of that, OTC loses Route 66. Making Jamestown 3-0 over OTC in the very first match of the season.
Play of the game.
Carter taking play of the game here on Ashe, so this must be within the first like 30 seconds or so. Let's see how they do here. Ashe, a very strong character in Overwatch 2 at the moment. High DPS output, as well as high poke damage potential. That will be game 1 of a multi-week season for OTC Overwatch. Not exactly the greatest start, but everybody makes mistakes. We all fall down sometimes. You just got to learn from them and come back stronger. So next week, tune in at 6 p.m. regular time on Tuesday as we come back even stronger, having learned from our mistakes this week, to fight for a victory, make our record a little bit better here. But yeah, tune in next Tuesday at 6 p.m. Central Time as we take on another NACE team in week 2. But I have been Mirage. Thank you for allowing me to host you and guide you through a bit of NACE competitive collegiate Overwatch here. It has been an honor. Thank you, and good night.